Meet Velma Hart with Velma Hart and Associates.
Good day, Angela. I'm Velma Hart at Velma Hart and Associates. We're a consulting firm, small consulting firm, woman-owned, women-run, vet-run, located in National Harbor, Maryland, and we support for-profit and not-for-profit businesses with our industry expertise over the years, specifically in nonprofit management, but also in for-profit management to just help them be better. Businesses today see things in epic proportion, big problems, but we make them refocus their energy to see those problems as opportunities to change the way they engage with their public and their customer base and even their member base. And so we hold a powerful position in helping them reframe the way they see opportunities and to better their businesses, to drive business outcomes, to drive success. And so we're very proud to do that.
That is so awesome. I am so incredibly proud of you. My name is Angela Thompson with Archangel Enterprises, LLC, and I am here with Velma Hart, my friend. We are both members of Top Ladies of Distinction, specifically the Southern Maryland chapter. And I will tell you that Miss Velma is absolutely amazing. She is incredibly talented, but she is incredibly generous too with her time and her knowledge. And she is also extremely focused and passionate about whatever she sets her mind to. And so for that, it is absolutely an honor to be here and to get to know you through your business lens, as well as telling folks a little bit about how you got started, why you got started, what led you to this, what was your actual inspiration for starting Velma Hart Associates?
There is a saying that good things come out of tragedy and challenge. And I lost my job and I wasn't sure what I was going to do. Through no fault of my own, the business was suffering and they had to make cuts and I was on the chopping block, as happens with so many professionals. And a friend of mine realized that friends were calling me all the time for business advice. And she said to me, why don't you hang out your own shingle? Why don't you start your own business? I never envisioned it as an opportunity. I always thought I would work for someone else. So it was a big dream that she seeded in me, that she was willing to not only drive and inspire, but she was willing to back. She helped me write my first business plan. She helped me design my website. She helped me in so many invaluable ways. Now, the website has morphed a little bit from that first website, and the business plan has grown significantly. But it was her vision, her seeing something in me that inspired this corporation that has helped thousands, dare I say millions in the world.
That is awesome. When did you get started? How long have you been in business?
We've been in this business 8 years. And in that 8 years, we've never marketed. We've never promoted our services. We're always referred to other organizations. So I'm very, very proud of that fact because many of my colleagues, the entrepreneurs, have to promote. They have to spend money to talk about their wares. And it's kind of powerful that the experiences that our clients have with us lead them to refer us to others.
We also have a testimony for you from a dear family member of mine, my brother. Oh. My brother is the owner now of T-Spec. It's a technology company, and he has worked with you in the past, and he cannot Patrick Carter enough wonderful things
I didn't
about
know that.
you. That is my brother. Yes.
Oh my God.
Absolutely. I mean, he cannot say enough things about you. So kudos to you and the work that you do. And I think you helped him out specifically with a nonprofit board that he used to sit on. And so
Ardmore Enterprises.
Ardmore Enterprises, absolutely. And they too are doing some wonderful things. Shout out to them as well. Yeah. I want to take a deeper dive in terms of the folks that you support. You mentioned profit and nonprofit. It seems to be that nonprofit is your passion, which is where we both serve, right? We serve with the Top Ladies of Distinction, another nonprofit. But that being said, that's a community-based opportunity for both of us. Let's talk about your clients, right, that are nonprofit. What type of services do you provide to them And if you can kind of talk about where they were when you got started with them and kind of where they are now.
Suffice it to say, it has been, you hear about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I think in the nonprofit space, because some of it is heavily regulated, other parts of it is not so heavily regulated, that you get individuals doing what they think is best rather than what makes good business sense. So we've had horrendous experiences with some of our clients, up to and including embezzlement, that we've had to go and suss out. If you remember, Angela, my background is in finance. That's where I cut my teeth. And so some of my clients have come to me for that level of expertise, but also strategic planning, DE&I training. We do a lot of DE&I training, sensitivity training these days, because organizations, both small and large, are struggling with how to apply DE&I principles. So we've seen it all. I tell my clients, my prospective clients, you can't scare me. I've seen so many things. I will tell you, save one client that over the 8 years that we've been in business, we've had tremendous success. We've done turnarounds. We've increased profit margins. We've enhanced offerings for sale and increased the value propositions within organizations. We've done a lot of that work, but one organization wasn't willing to take our advice. They thought it was too extreme. They thought it was too hard. I can't imagine changing how you view the world in this myopic respect being too hard, but it was too hard for them. And sadly, they ultimately went out of business. And so we have had a lot of success stories, but we've also had that one, I consider it a failure, because we could not make the case compelling enough and understandably enough that they understood they did have the bandwidth, the range to do what we were suggesting. They just couldn't get it.
Sounds like it may be a hint of fear, but it also sounds like it could also be part of their journey, a lesson that they could recover from perhaps later on, starting up fresh, coming back to you and say, you know what, we really, we did not follow the path that you set for us, but we're ready right now. And so we have figured out how to manifest that lesson within, and now we have something, that we can learn from and take off from, and then kind of go forward with. I suspect that the challenges or the opportunities, and we'll call them opportunities, that you're seeing with the nonprofit also resonates with the for-profit, because at the same time, we've got to come up with these actionable business plans in a very strategic way that lends itself to operational controls that we can kind of use to take root, if you will, take a hold of what we planned out strategically, what we planned out initially with the business plan, and kind of taking it to full circle. So are you seeing some type of commonality between the for-profit and nonprofit in terms of challenges that we all have, and then how we turn those challenges into opportunities?
That's a great question. Largely because business is business. Whether for-profit is just a tax status, not-for-profit is just a tax status. It's how you report. It only dictates how you report to the IRS. If you don't run a profitable business, you don't have assets to reinvest in the business and make it grow. So the principles are identical. And I spend a lot of time busting the myth that not-for-profits should not make a profit. I don't know where that methodology came from, but they are functionally businesses, and if they don't make a profit, they can't grow, they can't create new products and services for their customer base, they can't be vibrant businesses. So
that's right.
So the discipline around having a for-profit mindset when you're operating a nonprofit is very important. If you operate the nonprofit like it is something a Goodwill Services distribution center with not a profit mentality, you won't have what you need to run the business. You won't have what you need to do the humanitarian work that may be driving your business. And so we are seeing an evolution within the nonprofit space because there is an intentional training going on to get them up to speed, largely due to malfeasance. So we've had incidents with United Way, which is a big organization, American Red Cross, that have been nationally publicized, and that has sparked a lot of training about governance and how the governance of the business of the nonprofit needs to be run. So I'm seeing less and less of this thinking that we're a not-for-profit, and so we don't have to operate like a business. But it does happen occasionally, especially with startups, because they've had limited human capital, and so they've got to be a jack of all trades. And oftentimes, the jack of all trades, you're a master of none, and so that's where the problems come in.
That's a good point. That's a good perspective. In terms of the customers that you have, what stage are they? Are they more startups or those that have been in business, seated for a while, or businesses that are more mature, have been in the industry for a while? What do your customer base look like?
More mature organizations. We have had some engagements with a few startups, and to be honest, that is the juice. It is exciting to be a part of something at the very beginning, where you can get to shape it and mold it. But most of my organizations are mature, 50 years or more. I can't think any nonprofit or for-profit that is less than 50 years.
Awesome. What do you say to startup companies that may want to bypass the business planning phase?
Tilt. You need to rethink that position, because the one thing that all businesses have to be able to articulate clearly to prospective donors, to prospective purchasers or customers, to prospective members, is a value proposition. Crafting that business description, whatever you call it, whatever form it takes, helps you hone in on the main thing and create a compelling elevator speech. And that is critical, especially when you have no history, and you've got to sell people fast on what it is you're offering and make them want to be a part of it. And without that critical thinking ahead of time, which drives that business plan, you can't do that. You're shooting by the seat of your pants. Isn't that the same?
Absolutely. Let's talk about the strategic plan. I don't want to do that. That's too hard. That's just, what if they want to bypass the strategic plan? Can they do that? Should they do that?
If you asked me that question 10 years ago, I would say never. There is a compelling belief now that the strategic plan is passé. But I submit to you, even in Carver governance model and other governance models that submit that the strategic plan is passé, they have ends monitoring that set the course or the vision or future direction of an organization. That's all a strategic plan does. So you can call it whatever you want.
Other name.
You can call it whatever you want, but you have to have a North Star. Otherwise, you're pedaling upstream without a paddle, right? So there's got to be something that unites, especially for nonprofits, the mission and practical outcomes that you're seeking to achieve. And if you absent that, you're going in different directions. That mission or the business plan unifies the mission of the organization and gives everyone that compelling North Star.
All right. And then my final question in terms of planning, what about an operational plan? What should they actually sit down? I'm not going to say pen and paper. Very few people are doing that anymore, but I'll say keyboard and laptop in your mind, coming up with an operational plan.
Yeah, I do think the operational plan has value. The operational plan usually manifests itself through the budget process with notes and annotations. But if you're game to independently create a sound operational plan that goes more than 12 months, then you're giving yourself a future. You're giving yourself something to strive for. And I do think that done right, not 30 pages, but very succinctly put, it does add value. It reminds everyone what your end game might look like. And so I think there's value in it, but very few people do it. They usually do it through the budgeting process, and they annotate the budget, and they call that their operational plan. And that's true, in many respects. But, sometimes words rather than numbers are more meaningful. People can connect to words more.
I'm thinking in terms of growth, an operational plan to me is almost like a guide
Mm-hmm.
And it says to me that when my customer comes in, this is my entire workflow, how I'm going to handle him or her and their needs, who
Mm-hmm.
has to touch it, how they're going to touch it, what's repeatable, so that it's not all in your head. So if somebody comes behind you and you want to actually lead your company to grow, somebody can pick up and follow a specific business plan. How are you going to execute, right? And so everything in between. This is how you mentioned budgeting. If we're going to incur costs, this is how we're going to get reimbursed. This is how we're going to track it. But this is what our contracts look like. This is, we do these intake processes, all these types of things. And what I have found in talking to some folks, not everybody, is that sometimes it's all in their head. They
Yep.
never commit to putting it down in some type of document. And so then it's like, well, I don't know what to do.
Mm,
People coming behind, where do I start? Well, let's just
yeah.
talk about it. We can't just keep talking about it.
Yeah.
We have to put something in writing.
Yeah, I agree. I want to amplify what you're saying. That can be achieved through a good, solid SOP.
Mhm.
So, standard operating policy. And
Yes.
so, I encourage people to have a procedural documentation
Mhm.
because it's necessary. What if, heaven forbid, Sue gets hit by the organization's truck and she's out of commission? I hate to be so
Poor Sue.
yeah, poor Sue. But what happens? Because Sue
Yeah.
can't tell you what's in her head, and
Right.
having that documentation saves the day, because
Absolutely.
you don't have to go back and reinvent the wheel.
I love that. I love that. Um, so you told us what inspired you. The story resonates because whether or not you have a job, don't have a job, at some point we're always thinking about our next step. So I think a lot of people will really identify with their why. Their why is their why, your why is your why. How has it changed you and your lens since you took now ownership of your own destiny and you started this, not just helping yourself, but like you said, you helped thousands of people along the way with the lessons that you learned while working for others, and now you are pouring those lessons into others.
That's again a great question. The first thing I thought is it's demystified business ownership and entrepreneurship for me. I used to think it was something that not only was unattainable, but was unimaginable for myself. I thought it was too hard. And don't get me wrong, it is a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
But if you're doing, what is the old saying? If you're doing something you love, it's not hard work at all. It's never hard work. So from my perspective, what I get to do, and I think the reason that I was put here on this earth is to help people. And through this organization, I've been able to help organizations and people be their best self, their best version of themselves. And so that the question of why and how and what inspires me is that I finally found what I was made for, and I'm leaning into it through my organization, and I'm seeing the impact every single day. And so if I were giving someone advice, I would say, figure out what you're made for. Why did God put you here? And lean into that. And if you can advance that through execution of a job, or execution through volunteerism, or execution through whatever form it takes for you, lean into that and do that. It'll be the best thing you've ever done. It'll change your life. And the life-changing effect of having a platform to help people, the very thing that I was made for, I can't put it into words. And so I enjoy it, and I'm going to keep doing it as long as God gives me power to do that. And that's it.
I love that. That's a great way to end. Oh my goodness. I will say to everybody that's tuning into this, what you all see here with Miss Velma Hart, this is who she is. She is so generous. She wears this. It's not that this is part of an interview and part of her elevator speech. Miss Velma Hart will always gift and impart her knowledge and her time. And she also she repurposes and she pays it forward in everybody that she touches, in every task that she has to perform, in everybody that she's able to somehow lead. And she's also great at following too. She's just a great person to have in your corner. If people wanted to get in contact with you, how do they do that? If they wanted to use your services, is the best way to go on to your website and to book a consulting service, or would you prefer that they call, email, show up at the National Harbor?
Well, first and foremost, Angela, thank you. Thank you for those kind words. They are inspiration to my soul. I literally was shaking on the inside as you were talking. I try not to talk much about myself. And for you to glean all that from my words today and our history together, it's just, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And so, you're the best too. Right back to you.
Oh, I
Right
love
back
you.
at you. But the best way to get in touch with us is through the website. We have a contact form on the website, on the homepage at bhassociates.org. The contact form is at the bottom of the page. And if you fill it out, I'll get it, or one of my colleagues will get it, and we'll get right back to you. That's the best way to get in touch with us.
I love that. Everyone meet Velma Hart, my friend, and now yours. I love you. Thank you so very much.
I love you too. Right back at you. Thank you for this opportunity.
You are welcome.